Hey, Superfans, welcome to Livin Local. Brian Leslie here. And, lately I've been reading a lot about self-driving cars and all the technology that's coming to automobiles in the near future. And today on Livin Local, the official podcast of blackhillssuperfan.com, I had the chance to sit down with Kevin Rhoades, the general manager and partner of one of our Superfan member businesses, White's Canyon Motors, located in Spearfish. And we talked about when the Black Hills might see its first self-driving car. And I know that sounds kind of scary, doesn't it? But it'll come. I also learned a lot about car dealerships and some of Kevin's background and about the team at White's Canyon. So enjoy, and be sure to check out blackhillssuperfan.com when you get a chance. Kevin, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's begin just a little bit with White's Canyon Motors. Tell us a little bit about the store here.
Ooh, okay. Well, where to begin? I guess we purchased this store in December of 2011. Of course, we had White's Queen City Motors in the same dealer group before then. So it was kind of a natural fit for us to, acquire another store in Spearfish. It's been a great community for us, and we just we love the size of the community and just the general welcome we get from everybody here, and so it's great. And my wife and I are both went to school at Black Hills State, so we kind of been anxious to get back to Spearfish anyway. And so I had an opportunity to come here much sooner than I had planned because I figured I would maybe retire here someday again. But yeah, we purchased the store in December of 2011, and it's been a great fit and a warm welcome, and it's been really good.
Now, the name of the dealership carries the name White's. Tell us a little bit about the White's family.
White's family has 23 car dealerships total. They started in Zanesville, Ohio in 1913. So they've been around a very, very long time. It's a third-generation business. It's been in the family the whole time. So, you think back to 1913, and you have to think, do they even have cars in 1913?
There weren't any roads to drive them on, hardly.
Right. It was at horse-drawn carriages. I mean, what were they selling in those days? But, they started out basically in Zanesville, Ohio. They have some stores in Dayton and Toledo, Orrville, Ohio, and give a shout out to Bobby Knight and Smuckers in Orrville.
There you go.
Also, they have some stores in Wyoming, one in Casper, two in Gillette, and now two here in Spearfish. So it's a growing company, and they're growing. It seems like every year they're buying 2 or 3 more new stores. So it's quite a big organization at this point.
And you said that you've been back in Spearfish since 2011. Were you with the White's company prior to that?
I was, yeah. I was general manager of a Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram store in Gillette for them for a number of years, and then got the opportunity to relocate back to where I wanted to be. So
now, were cars something you were always interested in from your early days?
Yeah, everybody asks me that. They say you must know a lot about cars, and what I know is what I like to drive, and I like the looks of the cars. And so, yeah, it's always been sort of a passion, but I pay people to change my oil. So I'm not a gearhead. I'm not a mechanic by any stretch of imagination, but how can you not love a beautiful brand new car that smells like they do? And it's a fun profession for sure.
I'm looking out here in your office as we're sitting here at the dealership here in Spearfish right off exit 14, and I see a bookshelf back there with lots of model cars in it. You've got quite a little collection there.
Yeah, when you're designing an office in a car dealership and you got a big empty shelf, what do you do?
And I see Mustangs on there, a couple of them actually, then some older ones that I don't recognize. Look like a couple of Ford pickups.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are some...
Even got a handmade wooden one down there on the bottom that when we bought the store, I had a local gentleman that builds these things bring one into me and present it as a gift. So,
do you remember your first automobile? Do you remember your first car?
Yes, and I hope I don't get struck down being in a Ford dealership saying this, but it was a Toyota pickup.
That's okay. I had a Gremlin. A Gremlin was my first car. AMC, they don't even make it anymore.
Right.
So tell me about that car. I mean, what was that like?
It was all I could afford, and it was just a regular cab, very simple 4-wheel drive pickup with manual transmission. And I think I had that truck about a year, and I blew the clutch out of it, trying to show off for my girlfriend, I think. And so
of us haven't done that, right?
But my second car was a Ford, so
You made it right.
Yeah, I needed to find something that would last longer for me, so
awesome.
that's where I went.
Well, tell us about the business here. How many employees do you have here, and what kind of services do you provide here?
Right now we have 37 employees. We provide everything. We provide, obviously, new and used vehicle sales. We sell a pretty good crop of certified pre-owned vehicles. We also have a really fully stocked parts house, which is going to provide, basically all of your motorcraft parts and a little bit of aftermarket stuff, but mainly Ford parts. We also have the ability to get parts here within about 24 hours, typically. From the time you come in. So if you come in, it's not on the shelf, within 24 hours, we've usually got it here for you. So that helps expedite, repairs and things like that there. Obviously, the service department, they're an award-winning staff back there. Very, very fortunate to have those guys working here. A couple of my service writers have been here since the 80s. A couple of my technicians have been here since the 80s. They just know Ford vehicles and Lincoln vehicles inside and out. But they also, have picked up a lot of tricks along the way for other makes and models. So we're a full-service dealership. We can service the vehicle. We also have a great accessory department, which a lot of people don't 100% know about. For everybody that likes to upfit their new truck when they buy it, we can do anything. We can do everything from a lift kit to leather interior to a grill guard or a camper package. We can do everything to upfit that truck and make it customized. I always say that a vehicle is an extension of someone's personality, so they like to make it their own, and we can help them do that. We can do spray and bed liners over there. So.
And is it mostly for Ford products that you do the customization?
Nope, we can do anything. We actually deal with a supplier out of Sioux Falls, so the stuff comes very quickly, and a lot of it, like I say, we have in stock. Some of it's interchangeable. But yeah, I mean, any vehicle you want, we can help you upfit it too. So.
Sure. Now, service, I know, is a big part of any dealership, and that's providing a good continuing service that maintains that relationship with your customers. And working on cars is something that has certainly changed since you and I had our first car.
Oh, no kidding.
We could climb under there and get the oil changed pretty quickly, but nowadays with the computers and all of the technology that's in an automobile, it really takes somebody that knows what they're doing to make it to really be successful at maintaining a vehicle.
It does. Yeah, and Brian, we hear this quite often. Some customers will come in and they'll say, "Just plug it into your computer and tell me what's wrong with it." It's not nearly that simple. I wish it was. If it was, everybody would be able to work on them. But everything's tied to a sensor and a sending unit and some sort of a computer. And so everything is intertwined, and all the electronics is tied to something, and so a lot of times it's an electrical problem that shows up. It's not even mechanical, and a lot of that is just because of the sensors and the system checks that the vehicle's running at all times, and they'll notice something's wrong far before it becomes ever a mechanical issue, and it'll alert the driver with the ever so popular check engine light that you see come on. That'll pull a code and sometimes point the technicians in the right direction. But they have to be not only computer technicians nowadays, but they also have to have that mechanical know-how to be able to diagnose that problem. So
then on the other hand, as the vehicles have become more complex, they've also, I think, become more reliable. I mean, when I was a kid and we'd go on vacation and we'd pile into the station wagon, and Dad would always put his big toolbox in the trunk. And then we'd head west to go on vacation somewhere. And invariably, we'd get somewhere and had to put a new fuel pump in or do something, because vehicles in the 60s, you get 100,000 miles on them and things started going wrong. Is it true that today's vehicles are engineered to last a lot longer?
It's funny. A lot of these vehicles have a 100,000-mile tune-up interval. So a lot of people don't realize that, and some people will ask, how many miles has that vehicle got? Well, it's got 100,000, and they go, ooh, that's a lot. It's really not. I mean, we see vehicles traded in nowadays with 300,000 miles pretty consistently. There is some maintenance that's required, with 100,000 miles on any piece of machinery. It's going to find stuff to wear out for sure. Most of it has to do with the drivetrain issues. When a vehicle gets more miles on it, you got to start watching ball joints and tie rod ends and brakes and rotors and things like that. Just normal maintenance stuff comes up. But yeah, you're very right. I mean, they go for a very long time, and 100,000 miles isn't really that much anymore with vehicles. Mm-hmm. They last a very long time.
And talking about technology, I've been seeing car commercials a lot lately, where they're beginning to show the self-driving or the autonomous vehicles and the features that they have more and more often now. Where are we headed as far as that is concerned? When will it be that the first autonomous vehicle shows up here at Whites Canyon Motors?
Boy, I tell you, I wish I had the answer for that, but it's coming faster than I'd like. I tell my kids a lot that their kids probably won't have to learn how to drive. They'll just they'll upload their destination through a GPS coordinate. They'll just upload that, or they'll just get in and they'll say to the car, take me to this place. And I have a feeling that they're going to see it in their lifetime. My kids will see it in their lifetime. Wow. Ford has some really, really exciting advances in technology that the car will pretty much drive itself now. They've got a thing called lane keep assist, which uses sensors to sense where the lines are in the road. And if you start to drift, it turns the wheel back for you. So that's nice for people that travel a lot and, start to maybe doze off a little bit. And it's kind of scary that they could be sleeping going down the road, not hitting the rumble strips because the car won't let them do that. But it's also got advanced cruise control systems that when it comes up on another car, it'll actually stop the car.
Be adaptive.
Yeah, it slows itself down behind the car and it won't advance until you move over into a clear lane. And in the backup cameras, and some of these new trucks have a 360 camera, so you can see all the way around the truck when you pull into a parking spot. So, I mean, the technology is there, and it's really scary how fast it's coming. Makes you wonder. It's probably not too far away.
And I would suppose that engineers have to guard against the distracted driver with all that technology surrounding them to maintain safety.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is the complacency that would arise, I think, from someone who's used to the car driving for them. Because ultimately, I think you have to have some human interaction there, so that if the car's doing something you don't want it to do because the computer's glitching out, that you can take control and keep yourself safe. And so I think that's going to be the big stumbling block, the big hurdle that they have to get over, and how you create an entire infrastructure of vehicles that communicate with each other and that also allow some driver input, so that if this thing starts to go crazy, you can get a hold of things. So
and you take so much of it with you, carrying a phone in your pocket. The Ford vehicle, I think I might have mentioned this to you one time before, when I purchased my Explorer, full disclosure. It was the first vehicle, I think, that was sold under the Whites Canyon name. When it transferred ownership.
Yes, sir.
And that vehicle had all the sync features and the adaptive cruise control, which I absolutely love that, and the safety features of the backup camera, which a car should never be without. But also is amazing that, you would update your phone contacts at home on your computer. You'd walk in your car and it would automatically update your phone book, your address book.
Right.
So that you could just touch, and tell it to call somebody. And if you just entered their phone number, it'd be there.
Right.
That just blows my mind, and as far as playing the tunes that you have stored on your phone or your podcast, they're there.
Right. And that was 6 years ago, Brian. So just imagine what it'll do nowadays.
And that's where it just blows my mind to think about where we're headed with vehicle and transportation. And when you say that your kids probably won't even have to learn how to drive, just absolutely blows my mind. I have to ask, up here where it snows in the northern states, how do you see the lane assists or the lane markings if it's snowing? Have they got technology that figured out yet?
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, and what it'll do is it'll tell you that the system is disabled if it can't find the lines. So
at least it knows that.
It does know that. Yes.
Try to drive when it knows it can't. But,
absolutely.
All of that comes into play. Well, let's talk about buying a car. these days, as everybody knows, the cost of vehicles, it's expensive. I don't know how quickly in the last 10 years the price of vehicles has risen according to inflation, but I think there was a stretch probably back in the 90s where the price of cars was going up pretty fast. Are we stabilized on that now, or?
Yeah, typical raise in cost is anywhere from 2 to 3% a year is about what we see across the board. Which they are getting more expensive, but there's also a lot more technology, as we just talked about, being stuck into those cars. So you can get a very, very expensive vehicle these days if you buy it with every bell and whistle, so to speak. But then you can buy a more basic car too that is more cost effective as well.
I did notice that the price range when you're buying a car now is probably more than it's ever been.
Yeah, and I just think that arose from consumer demand. Some people really want every option you can possibly get, and some people say, hey, I'm just going to use this as a feed truck on my ranch, and I really don't even want power windows, and I want to be able to use a manual transmission so I can put it in low gear and feed out of the back of it as I walk behind it,
Mm-hmm.
So very different needs. A lot of people, especially in the pickup world, it's either a work truck or you're using it for your family vehicle. And these big crew cab pickups anymore, there's not a ride out there that's better than these half-ton trucks.
Yep.
These F-150s are amazing, and so people are using them for an everyday vehicle. They put a tonneau cover on the back so their groceries don't get wet, and they use that for, get to work and back. And, that was unheard of 25 years ago. You just didn't have people driving pickups around every day.
And also what was unheard of is a pickup that gets as good a gas mileage as they get now.
Right.
Yeah, with the
absolutely.
different features that you have. And again, that's where engineering and technology comes into play.
It is, yeah. Yeah, some of these new pickups, and just touching on the fuel economy aspect of it, they've even got start-stop technology now, so you pull up to a stoplight and the truck will just shut off. And it won't turn back on until you take your foot off the brake. And it starts right back up again, and it conserves on fuel and greenhouse gases and all the environmental stuff that they say we should be worried about. And so it's
it's hard to think that it would make that much of a difference, but I guess if you're in town or if you're driving in start and stop traffic a lot.
Right. Well, and the new F-150 came with a 10-speed transmission this year.
Oh my goodness!
For that very reason, you get out on cruising speeds on the highway. You're running at under 1,000 RPMs if you're on a straightaway. So,
and when it comes to the financing part of it too, and I'm sure people are asking this question, we now have longer term financing, which goes with the higher price tag. So, back, I don't know, when I was after I was first married 30 years ago, having a 72-month loan on a car was like unheard of. They just weren't offered.
Yeah.
Now we see that and other options also, as well as leasing.
Yeah, and 72 month is probably the most common.
Is that right?
That's about the most common term we finance now. You have some people that'll shorten it to 60 months. I always tell people to obviously go with as short a term as they can possibly afford.
Mm-hmm.
It just puts you in a better position down the road to trade if you don't want to keep it 5 years or 6 years. That's a long commitment. You think about 5 or 6 years and all that can change in your life in that amount of time. Maybe that's not the right vehicle for you 6 years from now. So we always encourage shorter terms, but you're right. The cost of vehicles has dictated that. If you want a brand new pickup to make it affordable, sometimes you have to do that.
And who is leasing right for? What kind of a person would benefit from a lease?
Well, it's funny because almost every employee I have in the sales department leases their vehicles. I lease my vehicles. All my managers lease their vehicles. So I would like to say people that are really smart would lease their vehicles, but I'd just be making that up.
Awesome.
I'd just be making that up. No, actually, if you drive not a lot of miles, if you don't have a job where you commute constantly, and you can, and I say that with a grain of salt because you can actually go up to like 18,000 miles a year. So that's still quite a bit. But people that don't get hurt leasing are people that drive low miles and like to drive a brand new vehicle every 3 years or 2 years. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good option.
Sure.
You're under warranty the entire time you have it. Your taxes are built into your payment. It's just it's something that you drive that vehicle for 2 or 3 years, and then you come in and you get a shiny new one with $2,000 or $3,000 more technology tacked onto it. So
Well, we've talked a little bit about the store. We've talked about your story, technology, and financing. What would you say are the biggest challenges facing a car dealership business such as White's Canyon?
Just trying to keep up with the technological side of the way people shop for cars nowadays, I think is probably the most challenging. 5 years ago, we had a pretty primitive website, and we weren't really on dealing much with e-commerce at all. That's changed tenfold in the last 5 years. A lot of people start their process shopping for vehicles online, and that's cool. We're there to accommodate them, but that's probably the biggest challenge is just, that immediate having our inventory online and current and negotiating with people, sometimes over email or things like that. It used to be on a Saturday, every car dealership in town might be busy because everybody wasn't sure what they wanted to drive and wasn't sure what everybody's inventory was. And so they'd spend all day Saturday driving from car dealership to car dealership trying to figure out what vehicle do I want to purchase this time around. Well, nowadays you can do it all online. You can search for the vehicle you like. You can build that vehicle online and know exactly what you want so that when you come into the dealership, it's a huge time saver for people. And especially, I always say in this millennial generation, a lot of millennials like to save that time. It's precious to them.
Sure.
So I think that's what's really pushing the internet wave on car shopping is just people trying to save some time. They can negotiate with 2 or 3 dealers online, and they know where they're getting the best deal, and they can just go there and buy the vehicle. So,
what about the rewards? What are some of the biggest rewards that you have? Like, man, I'm really glad that we have this place.
Well, that list is very long, but I tell you, my biggest reward is my staff. I'm so fortunate. Been in other car dealerships before, and I know the challenges that most face. I really don't have that issue with my staff. It's been a very stable, well-rounded staff. Everybody's got morals, and everybody cares as much about the success of the store that I do, and that's very, very hard to find nowadays.
Well, we're going to take a break and thank our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to have much more in our speed round of questions. But first, this. Hey, it's Brian Leslie here, founder of the Superfan Project. In 2017, and with a lot of help from an amazing team, we founded BlackHillsSuperfan.com for 2 reasons. First, to help support local businesses in our towns in a world where big retail and internet big box competition make it tough to survive. Second, we built it to deliver to you, our Superfan members, extraordinary value in the form of discounts and savings at these local businesses. But we wanted to go beyond coupons. Not only do we want you to save money, we want you to get to know business and community leaders. We want to deliver news, cool facts, and things about the beautiful Black Hills that maybe you didn't know, and that you can share with your friends and neighbors and family. Your $7 monthly membership helps support our efforts, and our goal is to deliver back to you 5 to 10 times that amount in savings. And remember, unlike other deal sites, with BlackHillsSuperfan.com, when you make a purchase at a local business, 100% of that money goes to that business. It stays in the local community. That's what helps make us unique and helps your spending power have more impact right here in town. So if you haven't subscribed yet, head to BlackHillsSuperfan.com and click on the sign up button today. We'd love to have you. Thank you. And as we like to say, we love living local. And welcome back to Livin Local. We're ready for the speed round with Kevin Rhoades, the general manager and general partner at White's Canyon Motors in Spearfish. So, Kevin, are you ready for our speed round?
I hope so.
All right.
You kind of intimidated me.
Well, let's get started. What is one thing about your business that folks may not know?
It's not much of a speed round, is it?
Well, we talked earlier about the accessory shop and the customization shop. So
yeah, that is probably one thing that that we should definitely touch on is, we don't just have factory parts here. We can sell the vehicle. We can help you with those parts. We can service the vehicle. We can also customize that vehicle. And we spent a lot of time, thinking outside the box over there to see what we could come up with and what would people want, especially in the truck market, because this is a big truck town. But we can do everything from spray and bed liners to all the aftermarket accessories. We can even do lift kits, vinyl packages, just really, really make that truck exciting. We actually we renamed that department over there the Whites Canyon Extreme Truck Shop, because that's what we hope to do, is just make things extreme. So,
our next question is, what is the key to success at your business?
I think just really taking care of our customers. I mean, you can't replace customers. You got to do it right the first time, and you've got to do it right every time. And so part of our success has been that. We really take care of our customers. We have been awarded the Ford President's Award for 6 straight years now. We just got notice that we were awarded it again for 2017. And the One Ford Elite Award, you don't get those awards unless you take care of your customers.
Can we drill down on that for a second? Could you tell me anything that maybe some of your staff has done to really make sure that they're taking care of their customers? Any stories?
I just think it's the mentality of, this is not a one-time deal. I want this customer to keep coming back to me every time they have any needs for vehicles. And, I try to instill that in my staff, and I think that it's very well received, that, we're not just here for a short-term deal. This is the long haul, and we take care of people from start to finish, and not just forget about them as soon as they buy a car and drive off the lot. So.
Well, as the general manager and general partner, what personal habits do you practice that lead to success?
Just like I mentioned, just making sure that a customer is more than just a one-time customer, and we have a lot of checks and balances in place to make sure that that's happening. Ford has a very stringent survey policy, for one thing, that after a customer leaves here after buying a vehicle, they call to ask those questions. How was your experience? And so we share those with our staff and our customers, and we make sure that we're upholding those principles to continue that tradition. So.
And the last question is, where do you see Whites Canyon Motors in 5 years?
Boy, in 5 years, hopefully we are just busy, and I really think that Spearfish has got a bright future. So I'm excited about that prospect, and this construction in front of us has been going on for a couple years. I think this new intersection out here is really going to pick up this end of town. So we're just looking forward to a bright future, and we definitely expect to still be here, and hopefully have the same staff in place too. So.
And cars are bound to change too, right?
Maybe selling some of those autonomous vehicles like we talked about.
Well, we've been with Kevin Rhoades, Livin Local today from Whites Canyon Motors. Kevin, thank you for your time today. We very much appreciate it.
You bet. Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Hey, and one more thing before we go. Just a word about how blackhillsuperfan.com is even more unique. When you sign up, your $7 monthly membership is converted into official Superfan credits. 28 credits for $7, and you can use these in many ways, including unlocking discount deals at local businesses and entering to win monthly prize drawings. So check it out today at blackhillsuperfan.com, where we love living local. And one more thing I'd invite you to do, if you wouldn't mind. Head over to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us an honest review. Let us know what you think about living local. We appreciate your time and thank you for listening.